Hey, good morning, everybody. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to go over some of the logistics of the class and how you guys can navigate some of the activities for your course to get access to it, how to figure out who your groups are, and how to submit assignments. So let's go ahead and get started with the setup of the class. So your class is, if you go to your Canvas page, your main Canvas page, and find your either Bio 155 section 10, 11, 30, or 31, depending on which class you are belong to. Then what you will find, you will have a welcome module as your homepage. You have a study guides that are associated with 4 of your lecture exams. And then coming down, you have 4 units. So unit 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the way I broke it down for you guys is you have it by day-to-day assignment. So basically, as of summer class that we have right now, you meet for 19 days. And for each of the day's assignment, you can basically click on that day and go to the assignment for that day. For instance, today is day 1, so you will click on day 1 for your activities. The top page, what you have here is basically some general information about the course. You kind of, if you're new to the online environment, it's good to kind of click on this and see how you can basically prepare for it. There's some information that's going to help you succeed. There's some good information. Again, I'm not going to go over them. You guys can do that on your own time. And the piece of document that you really do need to take a look at is your syllabus, which kind of gives you an idea of how the class is set up, information about your textbook, the points for each of the assignments that you have, etc. So this is a really good document. I'm just going to click on it to show you what it looks like in terms of information. So on the top, you have basically my contact information. Use this email and this email only if you want to contact me. We do have office hours every Tuesday for basically the 4 weeks from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Do keep in mind that my response time is about 24 hours. So if you contact me, it's not a text. I'm not going to immediately respond to you. And on the weekends, I don't check my emails. So please don't expect me to return that until Monday morning, typically. You have your course objective, your SLOs or your student learning outcomes, the link to your online textbook. You don't have to purchase a textbook for this class. This is an OER textbook, which basically means Open Education Resources. So when you click on this, this basically takes you to an online textbook that is for free. So you can find that information here. Course requirement, the biggest thing that you have to have for this class is, of course, your computer and your laptop and access to the internet. So I'm assuming if you're here and you're taking the class, you already have access to those. But the other thing that you really need is an updated version of the Chrome browser. So if you're using any other type of browser, like a Firefox or, oh my God, I can't think of anything, Safari, or Internet Explorer, those usually don't work as well for Canvas, especially if you're taking an exam and that exam has images in there. In many cases, those images do not load properly. So you will have a difficulty getting access to that information. So my suggestion is if you are actually going to do any of your exams, especially your lab exams, make sure that you are using the Chrome web browser. So if you're not using that and then you say, oh, my picture didn't load for the exam, I really can't do anything for you. So make sure you do that. Canvas access is given because otherwise you won't have basically access to any information in the course. So make sure you guys have continuous access to your Canvas. There's some information about your lecture exam as well as your lab exams. We follow the same policy for both of them. So if you have an exam scheduled for a day, the exam will be available from 8 a.m. on that day until midnight. So let's say next Monday you have an exam schedule. That exam will be available for you from 8 a.m. to midnight of Monday. You have, let's say that a given time for the exam is an hour and a half. So you have to make sure that that hour and a half falls between the 8 a.m. and midnight for the completion of the exam. You cannot start, for instance, and this is what I had issues or concerns with the students before. You cannot start the exam at 11:30 p.m. and say, oh, I still have an hour and a half to take the exam. No, the exam will automatically kick you out at 11:59 because that's when the exam closes. So make sure if you're looking at the exam and let's say you have 1.5 hours to take the exam, that's 1.5 hours of the exam time falls within the ratio of 8 a.m. and 11:59 p.m. for that day. The schedule for your exams are found on your Canvas, and I'll show you this after we'll go over the syllabus because it makes it a little bit easier to navigate the Canvas page. The breakdown for the exams, you have 4 of them, each of them worth 100 points. You have what we call Canvas posts, and again, I'll show you this in just a minute. Total of 20 points. You have quizzes, 3 of them, 10 points each. You have lab assignments, as I mentioned. Most of these lab assignments are going to be group activities, with some of them being done individually. Each of them worth 5 points for a total of 80 points. And then your lab exams are, they're range between 40 to 50 points. You have 3 of them, so it gives you a range of 120 to 150 points. The breakdown for the grade is pretty straightforward. Every 10 percentile would basically drop you 1 letter grade. There is no attendance for this class. This is an asynchronous class, which means that basically you can choose to do your work anytime you want as far as you meet the deadline. Meeting for the office hours is not a requirement. However, I do strongly suggest for you to participate and ask questions. You also can ask those questions through email if you choose to. But again, remember that my response time will be 24 hours. Lab assignments is a big one, guys. So lab assignments, as I said, most of those are going to be group activities, which means you need to figure out who your groups are. You need to work with them, find a method of communication. I suggest for you guys the initial communication to be through the inbox feature of the Canvas. And then everything else after that, you can choose how to communicate. So that could be text messages, you want to FaceTime with each other, you want to use a Google Doc, whatever works for you to complete that group assignments, fine with me, as far as a final product is submitted by the deadline. Of course, you can even use Zoom for that purpose. So I'm not limiting you how, as a member of your group, you're going to communicate with your group. You can choose to do anything that you want as far as the work is done at the end. The only thing that I do require you guys is to follow online etiquettes, which basically means be respectful to your classmates, do not use bad language, and basically keep the same guidelines as you would do in a classroom. So late assignment submissions, that is true for anything except the exam. So if you're looking at your quizzes, or actually not quizzes, actually your labs or your Canvas posts, I should say. If they are late, you lose 20% for every 24 hours they are late. So after 5 days, you basically lost all the points. And again, as it says, late submission does not apply to your quizzes, lecture exams, and lab exams. If you do have a concern, and let's say you couldn't make it to the exam and it has to be a legitimate reason where you couldn't access your exam during the 8 a.m. to midnight time, then you need to let me know within 24 hours so I can open up the exam if your reason is acceptable. So me having a headache, me forgetting to take the exam, none of these are acceptable reasons. So please make sure that you are, if you are to miss the exam, it's a really good reason that will qualify you for a makeup exam. When you're sending an email, please use my Valley College email. Do not use the Canvas inbox. The Canvas inbox option here, I don't check it often because it's not something that's connected to my phone. The emails that you will send through Valley College will directly go to my email. and I have my phone most of the time with me, which means I will respond to you pretty fast, under the 24 hours. However, if you email me through inbox, don't expect me to get back to you within that 24 hours. It usually takes 48 to even more, 72 hours. And one thing that when you're sending an email, please tell me what class you belong to. Again, I have 4 sections, which basically means if you don't identify yourself as far as what section you belong to, then I will basically not respond to you, or I will respond to you what section you belong to. And then you have to wait for me to get that response, and then you respond back, and then it kind of takes time for you get your answer. Final grades is pretty straightforward. Do not contact me about your grades if at the end of the session, it's not the semester, at the end of the session, telling me that you had these difficulties or challenges. You have chosen, and I know it sounds really harsh, but you have chosen to take a fast-paced class of 5 weeks for a class that normally takes 17 weeks to complete. So if you choose to do that, then the responsibility would be significantly more. So if you are not prepared to complete this course, drop it before the drop date, and then retake it. There's plenty of time to retake this course. You're still going to be, for the summer, you can be taking it asynchronously, or for the fall semester, it could be a hybrid class. But please don't contact me at the end of the semester or at the end of the session asking for leniency on a grade. Whatever grade you have earned, that would be your grade that will stay with you. Academic honesty, no plagiarism, no cheating, no fabrication, which basically means don't go to the Google and copy and paste your answers into your answer in for the exams or for your assignments. Most of the assignments you guys do submit goes through what is very similar to Turnitin.com, which basically checks for plagiarism. Cheating and fabrication is pretty straightforward. So the biggest problem I have is plagiarism in this class, because people just copy and paste from Google. So don't do that, please. Use your own words, because otherwise you will be marked, and if it happens multiple times, then you get reported. So as the penalty for academic honesty violation is a grade of F on the assignment or assessments, and eventually report of the presentation. So please make sure you don't do that. Next, DSPS, if you are a student that requires assistance in terms of additional timing, which is the only thing that I can accommodate for you, please contact the DSPS office and make sure your papers are in order by the deadline, which is the first exam. And then I'm not so sure about the Success Center if they're available. They haven't really updated us in terms of if they have any hours for the summer, since today is the first day of summer school. But you may contact them directly, either using the cell phone number or going to their website and figuring out if they're available to help you with the course material. And this is your golden page that basically tells you how our class is set up for the rest of the semester or rest of the session. It gives you the activity or the lab we're gonna do today for that day. Oh, sorry, I just noticed there's shift and it says quiz. That's not quiz, those are lecture topics. So these are supposed to be shifted to the side. But basically it gives you your exam schedule, it gives you your quiz schedule, it gives you your lab exam schedule, which is listed as practicum, and the days you need to submit your Canvas post. And that's about it for your syllabus. So let me navigate to your course to see what type of resources you have access to. And then again, if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask those. So announcement is a big one. You can set up your announcement in a way that you would receive an email anytime I update the announcement for you. You can check it on a daily basis. I do use the announcement as a good way of keeping you guys updated on terms of changes that happens to your schedule, possibly. If there's an update in the course, if the date of the assignment submission has changed, etc. So keep an eye on announcement, I would say on a daily basis, because it is a summer session. Assignments, you really don't need to go through the assignment option. And let me do a student view, guys, so you guys can see this better. You don't really need to go to assignments or discussion on its own, and I'll show you why that is, but I'll show you something else. Grades is pretty straightforward. So grades are basically, you are able to look at all of your grades, how many points each of them are. And then of course you can type in what grade you can get in the assignment to see how your overall score is affected. So you literally can figure out what grades you need to do or what grades you need to have for each of the assignments to get the desired grade at the end of the semester. And all you need to do is click in the box or the line that says a score and type in your own grade. It doesn't stay for you because you can't do that, but it gives you an idea of what is the expectation for the course to get each of the percentages that you want to have. And this is all of the assignments. And another cool feature of the grades that I like is that it actually tells you the due dates. Ignore this one, says April. It tells you the due date of each of the assignments. So it kind of a good view for you guys to review when each of your assignments will be due, if you want to go and review that. The other thing you have is what they call the people. So people is basically going to give you an option for who would be in your group for your labs. So remember I said that your lab assignments are going to be done as a group. So to figure out who is in your group, you go to the people's option, and then it says groups here. So you click on that. So it says, see, like it says group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. So you guys only gonna see one group, which is yours. And basically when you open that, it tells you who is in your group. So in this group, there's 4 people, Amanda, Erica, Regina, and Savannah. So these are going to be your group members. So how do I go from there to contact them? It's pretty straightforward. What you do is you go to your inbox option. So if I click on the inbox, sorry, I'm on a student view, so it doesn't let me do that. So let me go out of the student view. So you go to your inbox, you open your email as I'm writing a new email. You choose your course. Oops. So yours is, let's say, section 10. Type your subject, whatever it is, and then type the group members that you wanted. So here is my one group member, the other one was Savannah. So I just add them and then type them a quick email that, let's say, you guys are in my group. What's the best way to communicate with you guys, etc. Do you need to do this by the end of today? Because your first lab assignment is going to be due within about 48 hours. So you want to make sure you get started as soon as possible. And again, figure out the method that works best for you. So like if you want to exchange Google Voice numbers, or if you want to exchange cell phone numbers, if you want to FaceTime each other, it doesn't matter as far as you figure out a way to communicate with each other, go from there. But this should be your initial means of communication. So let me close this. Let me go back to our main page. Okay, so from here, I'm back to the student view again. So we already looked at this concept that how your course is broken down. So let me walk you guys through like your day 1 activity. So here's your day 1. So I want to see what I need to do for today, for instance. So it says day 1. Today we focus on the following topics. So it says introducing yourself to your classmate and introducing the concept of anatomy and physiology, which is basically the topic of our lecture. It highlights some of the essential questions that we will be answering today. So basically gives you an overview of the lecture that is assigned for today's assignments. So this is what you guys want to do every time in terms of the day 1 or day 2 or day activities. So it says complete icebreaker, which is initial post is due by 6/2, and then replies are due by 6/4. So today is June 1st. So tomorrow is by midnight, you need to write your initial post for the icebreaker, and by 6/4 respond to 2 of your peers. So you say, well, how do I do that? So all you need to do is click on the link that is provided for you. So right here is the icebreaker. I click on that. So here's the direction for you guys. So the direction says, I want to know, basically, for your initial post, write a paragraph about yourself, include some information that you think would be interesting to your classmates. Choose a quote or image or short video that you think it's cool and you want to share with the rest of your class. Again, this part is due by 6/2 at 11:59 p.m. So tomorrow by midnight. When that part is done, for the second part of the assignment, you have until 6/4, which is 2 days after that, which is Friday, I think Friday by midnight, sorry. You need to reply to 2 of your classmates, and literally all you need to do is introduce yourself and explain to your classmate what part of that post you find interesting. So read 2 of your classmates' posts, write a short paragraph or a couple sentences about, oh, I found like, oh, that you traveled a lot. That's really cool. I would like to travel, something like this. So just at least you guys have some level of communication with each other. So the next thing that you have in your files, and this is going to be continuous and very similar, it doesn't change. It says downloading and reviewing the PowerPoint for that lecture. So if you were in a class, you would have access to a PowerPoint for that, for let's say today's lecture. So this is basically what that PowerPoint would have been. So you can download it by clicking on the arrow right here. You can say, so it says download, you can download it or you can preview it. I suggest for you guys to download it and even print the document so you have something solid in your hand when you guys are watching the presentations. So basically here is the PowerPoint we're gonna be reviewing today. Again, it's 17 slides, gonna give you the information. Download it if you choose to. And here's the important part, guys. You are going to keep your PowerPoint and then click on the videos that are linked here. So if I click on this video right here, and you can open it in a new tab, it basically goes from a slide to a slide, from a slide 1. So here it says Intro to Anatomy Physiology. If you go here, so Introduction to Anatomy Physiology. It's the same PowerPoint, basically.
And welcome to our first lecture for.
So these are my recording that's available on YouTube for you. And you're basically going to look at your PowerPoint and follow the presentation. If you want to do well in the class, guys, you must not only look at the PowerPoint, because the PowerPoint doesn't have all the information. You have to watch the video recordings, because video recording is like me standing in front of you and doing a 2-hour lecture. Okay, you must do that. You cannot just get all the information directly from the PowerPoint. And that's the part that a lot of my students were missing the previous semester when they didn't do so well in a class. So looking at the PowerPoint only gives you about maybe 60% of the information. The other 40% comes from the presentation, where the missing chunks of information will be introduced to you guys. So keep that in mind, please. And again, like here for today's lecture, you have a 28-minute video and the second part is a 13-minute video. So it shouldn't be really overwhelming. It's under 1 hour of recording. So hopefully you guys can find time during the day or next day to complete this part of the assignment. Now, for today, you really don't have any lab. Your lab is your icebreaker. Starting tomorrow, and I'm gonna go to the next day. Oops. I'm gonna go to the next day to show you something different. So day 2, you have your chemical basis of life, which is the PowerPoint. Again, you can click on the arrow to download it. Here is the 2 videos that goes with it. Again, to kind of give you an idea, this is a long video, so it's 1 hour, 16 minutes. And the second one is relatively short, it's only 5 minutes. So you have about 1 hour, 15 minutes of lecture to listen to. You have a quiz assigned to you. Again, the quiz has a deadline, so 6/3 by 11:59 p.m. No makeups for it. All you need to do is click on it. And you can take the quiz. It is open until June 3rd at 11:59 p.m. You have 1 attempt to complete it. It's 5 questions. You have 10 minutes to do it, and it's worth 10 points. Let me go back. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you guys is the group lab assignments. So he says complete group lab 1 homeostasis and graphing. Again, it's due by 6/3 at 11:59 p.m. So it's due in 2 days, basically. So let's say your assignment, your lab is scheduled for day 2. Pay attention to this guy. If your lab is scheduled for day 2, the due date for it is day 3 by midnight. If you have a lab scheduled for day 3, your actual due date to submit the assignment is day 4 by midnight. So you basically have another full day to complete the assignment. Since most of this is group activities, and I want to make sure you guys get the chance to do so. So again, this is day 2, which means 6/2, and the due date is 6/3 by midnight. So let's click on this. So here is basically your lab activity. A lot of my students have a difficulty say, well, how do I get this lab? There is no basically a Word document for this. All you need to do is, all you need to do for this is literally highlight the area and whatever the option is on your computer. Highlight this section, everything that you need to do, copy that, and then paste it into a document, a Word document, or Word document is the best. And then you can basically type your answers directly into that. It's a pretty straightforward. Don't make it more complicated than it is. Copy the sections that need to be answered, their questions or charts. Copy and paste it into a Word document, and then from there, just type your answers in there. Remember that these are group assignments. So here is the typical confusion I see. So for instance, the first thing it says, enter a volunteer temperature data in Fahrenheit in this table. And it says, collect the data at 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, etc. So this is how you guys are going to do this. So one member in your group, and this is typically group of 4 or 5. Let's say one member of your group has access to a thermometer at their home. And I'm hoping at least one member in your group has a thermometer. So that member says, I'm going to do that part of the data. The rest of the group does not need to do it. So I'm going to volunteer, let's say, for doing this activity. So I'm going to do my temperature in 1 minute intervals, measure it, record it, measure it, record it, measure it, record it for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to share this data with my group mates. So not everybody in my group is going to measure data. I'm going to do it and then share with my groups. Then going down, the next person say, oh, I can do the breathing. So they're going to sit somewhere, or they say, let's say at their home, they have their partner or their kid, tell their kid to stay straight. And then all they're going to look for is within 1 minute, look to see how many times their chest goes up and down. That's it. So I'm sitting on the sofa, on my sofa, relaxing, and let's say they're using their phone, so they're not paying attention to their breathing. So you know, as soon as you say, oh, think about your breathing, everybody's gonna hold their breath, right? So you don't want that. So you want to just have the person be busy with their own activity, and then measure their breathing rate over 1 minute, and then repeat that 10 times, basically. Because one set of data is not good enough. We want to collect data multiple times and then basically figure out what data is the good data. The next data point you have is the heart rate. So best way to measure heart rate is doing the pulse over here. So all you need to do is literally use your finger, your index finger and your middle finger, put them here on the side of your thumb and measure the heart rate over 1 minute. And again, do it 10 times over 10 minutes. So every group, so if you have 3 members in your group, each of you guys can choose one part of data and then share it with the rest of the group. The last part, it's a graphing. So I have posted for you guys how to do graphing on Excel. If that is too complicated for you guys, and that's okay, you don't have to use Excel. You can actually draw it out as well. So just do a hand drawing of the graph or a bar graph, or you can use Excel. I'm not limiting you guys to one or the other. Some people are really comfortable with Excel, some people not so much. So your choice. Collect your data. Look at the data, average your data, again, average your data, and then graph it as a bar graph which is depicted on up here on the Excel file, and basically either copy and paste it in there and you're done. So how do you submit this assignment? So again, this is going to be true for all of your lab assignment, if it's individual or group. So if you go to the top of your page, it says a start assignment. So you click on that. It says, keep in mind that this submission will count for everybody in your project group. So basically what that means is if one member of your group submit this assignment, completed assignment, everybody in that group does not need to submit the assignment. So only one member needs to submit it. So let's say we have a student A, B, C, D, and E in your group, and a student A says, I can submit the assignments for us. So when a student A goes into this page and submit and upload a file for it, then it will submit it for a student B, C, D, and E as well. So not everybody needs to submit it, only needs to be submitted once. When I grade the assignment, I get one assignment, I grade it, and everybody gonna see the same grade and the same comments. So if you have the same group, everybody's gonna see the same grade and everybody's gonna see the same comments. So you guys have access to that as well. All you need to do, since you have a Word document, is click on the upload of your file, choose the file that you have, whatever that file is, choose it from your document, press open, and then make sure you click submit assignments. And that's about it when it comes to submission of your assignments. Hopefully that will make sense and there's no additional questions about that. The other thing that I want to just quickly talk about is your calendar option. I think this is really cool. So calendar option is what basically tells you when we have an activity. So this is for your class, for instance, this is section 10. So if you want to join the office hours, click on here, copy and paste the link right here, and it connects you to the Zoom link. It's straightforward. You don't need to look for anything special. If you want to see a deadline for any assignments, look, it says Introduction to Anatomy Physiology. See this little rocket? That means that's a quiz or a lecture exam. So if you kind of hover on it, it says the assignment is due by 11:59 p.m. on Thursday. Lab, same thing. If you kind of hover over it or look at the top, it says due date is June 3rd at 11:59. So this is your friend. Your calendar is going to be your friend. Instead of you hand drawing and like writing individual activity for each of the assignments, everything is already in there for you, giving you the deadlines for each of the assignments. That's the easiest way for you to kind of review when each of the assignments due. And again, please do not use the inbox option here because I don't check that inbox. So we want to make sure we stick to the Valley College email address if you want to get a hold of me. And I think that's all I want to talk to you guys about. Betty, do you have any questions for me that I can address that might be other students' concerns as well?
What if you have inactive group members?
Good question. Thank you. So in your syllabus, I have provided you with the guideline for that. So let's say that within your group, you have 4 people that are active. They responded to your email and one member just doesn't bother or responds really late. You already submit the assignment and they just starting to respond to you. That's considered inactivity on their part. So you need to let me know by either leaving a comment, and the best way is to leave a comment. Sorry, not to leave a comment, to send me an email that includes all of your group mates' information. So you as a person, as an individual, cannot communicate that with me. It has to be a consensus with the rest of your group that this member did not participate. So let me give you an example. So again, let's say you have a student A, B, C, D, and E in your group, and a student E did not do anything, did not participate, right? So a student A, B, C, and D needs to have their email address in their person that is sending the email to me, and then email me that says this person, a student E, did not participate in the activity for today, okay? If I get that email with consensus from all the remaining group members, then I can conclude that that is the case. And what I would do is I remove that person from your group. Okay. And I will send them an email and it said, you guys, you need to contact me. You have been removed from your lab activity and you will remain off of a group until you can explain why you did not participate actively in your group. Okay, until then, they will not be able to participate in the lab groups. They cannot submit labs individually if the lab is submitted to be submitted as a group. So let's say they say, oh, well, fine, my group didn't want to do this, or I was late, so I'm just going to do it by myself. No individual lab submission will be acceptable if it's a group activity. Does that answer your question, Betty?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So if you are really need to get kind of, I know this is a really fast-paced class, so you want to get kind of a hold of your group by the end of today, I would say, and make sure that you guys are on track to complete your lab assignments on first lab assignment on June 3rd by midnight. Anything else?
That's okay. So we basically read on our own and do our homeworks.
So if you have any assignments,
Okay.
like your Canvas posts, kind of like the icebreaker, quizzes, these things you do on your own time, anytime that you want, as far as it is before the due date. You are not limited on, like, you can do activities for the end of the semester right now. Don't really care. If that's something that's something you want to do, go for it. I'm not limiting you as far as it's done before the deadline. People work at different pace. I have students that had challenges with work, and they knew they have a really hard week coming up, so they submitted their assignment prior to that. You still have to do your group assignment or group lab activities with your group, but that's more manageable if you don't have anything else to do. But you can move on your own pace, watching the videos, looking at the PowerPoint, submitting the Canvas posts or the quizzes as far as it's before the deadline. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm going to stop the recording now, and I will be posting this online. So